guidance to all who would be guided as this world begins to close down. This National Center for the re-education and retraining of the black man and woman, but for the totality of the human family of our planet. I named this mosque after the only woman that the Quran names a chapter after, the mother of Jesus, Maryam. All human beings need to be re-educated. That is the purpose of the National Center.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call digital edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. Welcome to Liberated Sisters on the Closing the Gap broadcast network. Joining us for our first segment today, African Focus, is my co-host, Brother Brian E. Muhammad. He is a staff writer for the Final Call newspaper. Oh, me too. I'm student national correspondent for the Final Call newspaper and also broadcast journalist. And joining us today are our beautiful royal guests from Ghana, and they're here in the United States on very serious official business. We have with us King Asa Profa II, as well as Queen Nana Nihanda. We will get into more about them and their full royal names. But first, I would like Brother Brian Muhammad to have opening remarks and also to speak to us about our relationship with Ghana as believers and his personal relationship. And when we finish with that, we'll come back with our guests and their opening remarks and why they're here on African Focus. Brother Brian, take it away.
Yes, ma'am. First, I want to thank you, Sister Charlene, for this broadcast and this important talk that we're going to have with our guest this evening. Africa is very special because this is, of course, where we all came from. But because of what took place with us, as you all know, the history of our great violation as a people and the separation as a people from our motherland, now 400 years later, we are now coming back. We're now having this great opportunity to enter back into the motherland after being estranged from our people and from the land itself. And so I want to thank Sister Charlene again, because this is a very important topic. It's very close to my heart. As a member of the Nation of Islam and as a Black man, as a descendant of those who came over, not coming through Ellis Island or some other way into America. No, we came on the basis of violation. But now we're at a time now in history where we have the opportunity and the blessing and the mercy of God to raise us back up and reintroduce us to us. And part of that is reintroducing us to our family. And so I want to thank, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his work I want to thank Brother Abdul Akbar Muhammad, who we're going to talk about in this broadcast, for his work and their dedication to reunite us as a people. I myself have spent many years on the ground in the country of Ghana, you know, based on this work, based on the work that we are doing in the Nation of Islam here in America, but it's a universal mission. And that means that as God came to get us, you know, he also had a mission for the gathering of all of his people worldwide. And this is where our work in Africa really began. This is the context of our work in Africa. And so I was able to go as a young man, actually, you know, to help in the mission, in the African mission of the Nation of Islam. And, you know, our work on the ground, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a very well-loved person, a well-loved leader. You know, I mean, he's a serious hero in Africa. And so we went, and it was all so that we can have a healthy relationship as we are beginning to come into our own in the diaspora. You know, we're beginning to learn of ourselves, you know, learn of our great history, but not just our great history, but but who we will be of greatness way into the future. And reconnecting is a very important part of that. And so I want to say this because I cannot talk about myself and Africa without dedicating time and appreciation and gratitude to our brother, the international representative of the Nation of Islam, Brother Akbar Muhammad, who, by the way, some of you may have known, and if you read in the Final Call newspaper, the coverage that we did, he recently became installed as a chief in Ghana. And this is a very important step, a very important move, because as we will hear from our guests, many people have become installed over the years, you know. But I can say with Brother Akbar that because of his love for Africa and his, before he became installed, his dedication of work on the ground, you know, he was a sure bet for them to install, because he was not going to even accept that unless he had a clear path of how he was going to serve the people that he's entrusted with there in Ghana. We don't want to call it a village. We want to call it a community. The community of people that he's that have been entrusted to him. And so we want to dedicate this conversation tonight with you know, to Brother Akbar, and hopefully if he sees this broadcast, you know, he will be very pleased, because he spent so much of his life trying to make this connection. So, Sister Charlene, let's get right into what we came in to talk about tonight.
I appreciate that, Brother Brian. Minister Akbar, we love you. We pray you and your family are well. And as you said, I want to reiterate, thank you so much to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and all that was done and has been done, not just in Ghana, but to unite us with our brothers and sisters on the continent. And so without further delay, let us bring in King Asa Kropa, as well as the second, as well as Queen Nana. And brother and sisters, you come in, would you please give us your full royal names, and let us begin to talk about why you are here in the United States.
Yes, greetings to your viewers and then your listeners. I am so glad this evening to be on your this great platform. My mission to the United States this time around was by my queen, who introduced me to the African Focus Induction Service, which is a way of unity and to connect Africa for our unity so that all Africa in diaspora can come back to their roots. I always say to my people that I've been an inspiration for a lot of people, that through my queen and a lot of Africans in diaspora have brought a lot of people into my community, and I have given them their real name that you're supposed to have. So when he called me that is an African focus coming here and they want me to come and bless, and then our sisters and brothers in the diaspora to see that the 54 states or the 54 nations that form Africa, we need all of you back to Africa. United we stand, divided we fall. That is why I am here.
Thank you. And Queen Nana, please.
My name is Queen Nana Akosua Sechi Abia the First. I was installed back in 2005, and I'm here with my king today because we traveled for African Focus, as he said. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But also, I'm just happy to be here to talk about African unity in the diaspora because it's much needed. I've been looking at or viewing many young folks separating themselves from Africa. And it's kind of discouraging for me. So I'm glad to be here so we can discuss this topic because, as my chief said, unity is everything. We need to, at this point in the game, we need to be moving closer to each other to start doing, like myself, I just moved to the continent. I moved to Ghana. I'm practicing Garveyism there, starting businesses and whatnot. So we need to be moving closer to that.
Thank you. And Brother Brian, let's bring you in.
Yeah.
And I'll have the first question for them, please, toward what they just shared.
Yeah, I really want to hear more about this Goodwill Awards that that you're a part of. It sounds fascinating. What tell us about that so we could be familiar with that for those around the country.
Okay, so what the Goodwill Awards do is that every year they honor Africans in the diaspora who are doing good work in the African diaspora, not just on the continent, but in the diaspora. That means the Americas as well, the Caribbean as well. And also, every year, host families from Africa induct an African descendant of the slave trade into an African family to create closer bonds. Mm-hmm. And I would just like to say, I've been trying to get my chief to be a part of this for years. And this is the first time he's been able to come. And the reason why I wanted him to be a part of this is because this is what he's been doing for years. Like I said, I was installed in 2005 as an Akobia Hema Queen Mother in our community. And every year he performs naming ceremonies for the diasporans and welcome them into our community. That's what he does. So he's been working on African unity, and especially as a young king, I would like to emphasize this because he was only 14 when he was installed as a king. Wow. And so he's been doing this for years. He's really innovative. He is a strong advocate of unity in the African diaspora and us working together. And on top of that, he's humble. He's one of the most humble men that I know. And if you know some kings, not that there's anything bad about that, but he's just a humble man and he's open and he talks to the people. And he's just done a fantastic job. They made a great choice when he was selected.
Wow. And did you say 14 years old?
Yes, and 14 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Now you know. Now
Wow.
you really got some explaining to do because
And how?
and
Yeah.
how.
And how? How are you selected? Go right on ahead.
My lineage, we are matrilineals, and then matrilineal we belong to the mother side. We have the patrilineal that they inherit from their father. But our community, the Akan community in Ghana or in Africa, anybody that you hear that he's successful, like it's in the female side, then it means that he's a matrilineal. But I was lucky to be born into the royal lineage or the royal family, and I want my grandfather, that's my mom's uncle, was then the chief. So the way I was brought up, that I was following here and there. One day he said, "If I'm no more, Nana can be the place." And although there were the elders over there, but lucky I have practiced the custom and then the tradition, and then the way I portray myself, bringing myself down to the zero, not like being like I'm a royal, so I am so something as people will be expected. One day, when he was there, he called my auntie, who was then the queen, and he called me that we want you to be the footsteps of your grandfather. And I said, why? My uncle said, why don't you just say, we have studied you. I know that the power, you have the zeal to do it. So they begin like, let us do it. When they asked my mom, and my mom, I am the first grand also son to the throne. Then my grandmother said, okay, if you really want my son, this is my son. They consulted my father, and then they gave me out, and I was crowned to be a leader at that tender age. But within full tender age, I was practicing it, but I was an elder who guiding me left and right, model me so that I can do perfectly as I am. So that is why. So I was chosen by the lady to be the queen mother, by the queen mother to be um, the king of my people.
Now, for there are a lot of people that are now traveling to Africa, but to Ghana in particular. You know, we know that the notorious door of no return at the slave dungeons that exist there in Cape Coast and Elmina. And so many are returning. And as Queen Mother was describing you, she talked about your love or your emphasis to make this connection of the peoples, and I would assume in the diaspora of our people. What influenced that for you to dedicate and be about that? Because you got so many responsibilities, I'm sure, among the people at home. The diaspora does not necessarily have to be part of your reality, but what brought that on for you? This emphasis.
You could see that I said earlier when divided we fall, togetherness, unity will stand. I see it as a way of bringing ourselves together. That you see, I see it's not everybody who was sold into a slave trade or was not sold into slavery. Some were captured without their knowledge. Some were in their farm that the slave merchant had a way of capturing them. Let us get back to like the Kutokenge history and so many things that happened. So I think that they have deprived them, Africa in diaspora, their culture, their religion, the way they should do. So it occurs to me that why don't have a way of bringing them together? Because when we bring them together, for them to know exactly where they are from, the culture that they have lost for so many years, they will come to impact. So this is what I was standing. I was always, but all in the spirit. This is what I have to say. It is in the spirit of ancestral. Because it took one man to bring, like it took Muhammad to lead the people in the religion of the Muslim. It took Jesus the Anabi Isa to be a leader for the Christianity to follow you. So one have to be a leader, but all this come from the divine authority and our ancestors. These some people, the people, to people, you have to be a bridge to your people, and then through you, people will know where the light is. People will know where they are from because we are scattered. But this is what we have to do to bring us together. In my language, they say when you have a single broom, a single pin of broom, it's easily you can break them into pieces. Now, whenever you have a bunch of the broom, it's hardly that you can break. So that is that connection that I want us to do. One, unite and build our continent, our continent. So that nothing should penetrate us, nothing should break us from where we are from. It's like you have a mom, when your mom is breastfeeding, when our mothers are breastfeeding, and somebody took away the child from the mom, it's hardly that the child or the mother will not rise to bring her child back to her. It means that you are depriving them the knowledge, the sense, and everything that will prepare the child to grow out from the mom. Because I use the breastfeeding. The breastfeeding, the milk has so many potential for human life. So if you are taking what it belongs to the child from, it means that you are depriving the child for him to grow. And this is what eggs me or egg me for us to unite so that we may see what African we can move. Because Africa will have everything. Just that we have to reconnect so that we move Africa forward as that our ancestors were. So that
I would like to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Brother Muhammad. Yes.
Yes.
I hear some people say in our communities, African Americans say that we were sold and the Africans sold us into slavery, and it's with anger and hostility. And I just wanted to bring up an analogy. We all know about human trafficking today. There are some people that are Black that are involved in human trafficking. So if you go 100 years from now, you can't, somebody says, well, all Black people, I'm mad at all Black people because of human trafficking. You can't say that. All Africans did not participate in the slave trade. Families were separated from each other. People fought to keep us there or to save and rescue us. So please, I just want to reach out to my brothers and sisters and say, please do not look at it in that way. Look at it in a way that a crime was committed and an injustice was committed, but that doesn't mean that all Africans participated in that, because they did not. It was a small few. And so we need to be focusing on uniting with each other. And I've been going back and forth to Ghana since 2004. And I'm living there now. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes I do run into people that may try to take advantage of me. But for the majority of the people in Ghana, they are good, hardworking, polite, kind people. So if you go anywhere, you always have to keep your guards up, because anywhere you go, including in the United States, you're going to have run-ins with people that are not so nice. So just because you're coming to Africa or to Ghana, just always keep your guard up, just like you would do if you travel anywhere. So I just wanted to say that.
Oh,
and I wanted to say one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Nana. Nana, make this your show, your presentation.
Okay.
Feel free.
Thank you, Sister Muhammad. I wanted to say one more thing, because we've been getting a lot of this. I don't know if you noticed it, Your Highness, but people think we're married. We are not married. I have a husband that's been traveling everywhere with us.
Right.
And some cultures, if you have a king and a queen, if I have a friend that's Igbo, and he tells me that if a king marries a woman, she becomes a queen. But in our culture, it's different. It's different. So I want our king to explain
Okay.
how I became a queen mother and the different roles of different queen mothers in our village and what my role is.
Okay.
And pardon me, King Assad, but as we do that, we'll start to show some of the photos from African Focus, because I believe, Queen Nana, I saw your husband in the photo. And
Yes.
what is his name?
His name is Nana Beyin Kobana.
Wow,
Oh,
thank
Governor.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, King, go right ahead. Thank you
Yes.
both.
I met my grandmother where I work in Ghana, the famous botanical garden in Ghana. It's a site on the land of the Kwapim, which is the 17 principal town that form the Kwapim. And on the occasion when my queen got to the botanical garden, I was in the office that I was called to be a tour guide that day. So when we were talking about the whole thing, we were talking, and then I suggest to her that there is a lot of story, there is a lot of history behind my family, that we have a lady that we believe that the descendants have to come back and be installed as a queen. But in my sense, the way we were talking, I think and believe with the everything, the power, I think she is the descendant of her. So I'm suggesting to her that I'm going to talk to my people, and then we will install her as a queen. We exchange um, email address and we exchange numbers. So we begin to talk to each other, and finally, she accepted the offer to be the queen mother, and then she came with the three children of her, and then her mom, and on the 2005, we installed her and give her a very laudable position as Ankobi. When we say Ankobi Anima, it means he is the sole cabinet member to the throne and also advisor to the throne. Lucky that she is a police officer by then. Now that she's retired, she experienced. Let me say something earlier on here. The Muslim religion was founded by Muhammad. Likewise, the Christianity was also founded by um, Anabi Isa, the Jesus. But these two religions, they need the followers. So through Muhammad, now we have those who are following him to see the light. Anabi Isa, people follow him, his doctrine, and then they have also have seen the light. But in all, what I am saying that we need someone for him to be a mirror that they will look at him or her, for them to follow it up to our roots. So that is why she was chosen, and then this position was given to her. Therefore, as that we are matrilineals, my son can never be on the throne, but rather my sister's child or my sister's son will take my place when I'm no more, or my auntie's son can be on the throne. So she has his personal life because anything comes from her. Now that she is the queen mother, her descendant from the female. Lucky she has a girl, and when she is no more, we'll ask the girl whether she can take her mother's place. When he said no, then it will be her daughter's Dora that will take the place, and it follows that by that. And if there is a king, the son can do the king. So you see how it goes. Or is that everything comes from the woman is what we are after. We are not after what the husband can have a child. We don't care. The family, the matrilineal inheritance. We don't care about the man. We care about because it's the woman who carries everything. When our fathers put our culture and our system say, whatever the queen mother says into us is the final because she is the mother And then once, even women, when we go out and we come into the house, who serve us? It is the woman who give us food. Even though sometimes we cook, we ask the lady, what do you have on your table? It is the mother who feeds his children. So it's the mother that form a family. That is our so whatever comes from the woman is the final. So that is why she was chosen by me to be installed. And see that connection, that it doesn't matter where you come from. All is the unity that I want, that Africans in the diaspora should connect. So she is like a mirror that people should see, and through her, people can come back to Africa. That we need you more, we need you back to where you are from. So that is why I chose her to be the queen mother.
That's fascinating.
Beautiful.
That's fascinating. But I wanted
I
that.
love it.
I wanted that. It's great. Yeah. I mean, because we see these things from a distance, but most of us don't know the process
Yeah.
that goes into bringing this together like this. And but I wanted to ask, perhaps Queen Mother, working with people on this side of the world to bring this unity together.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you run into these things that you raised earlier, some of these point of views, and we know that has a lot to do with the mental condition that we incurred in our 400 years away from home.
Yeah.
Do you all have anything that you can point to that suggest to help to overcome that? Because these aren't issues that we can just sweep over, because they're there, and they're on both sides of the equation. They're in xenophobia is a universal thing. It's in Ghana, it's in Zimbabwe, it's in Brooklyn, it's in Los Angeles, it's in Columbia, South Carolina, where I'm at. It's a universal thing. So how do we work to overcome the impediments of unity that really is driven from a point of a lack of knowledge of self versus I just don't like this person because he's African?
And external forces.
And external forces.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we can't be driven by ignorance. We can't be driven by he say, she say stuff. And we can't be driven by single incidences. You always hear the story, and that's on across the board, whether it's Africans in the diaspora or continental Africans, because I have friends that are Africans from the continent, from the Caribbean. I make it a point to have friends from everywhere in the diaspora. And I've heard the stories. So we can't let single individual stories deter us from African unity. And if you look deep in your background, you'll find that you have had more negative experience within your own group, but we don't look at those things. We only look at if we've been wronged or something by someone that comes from another group. So that's what I would say, first of all. And I would say educate yourself, travel, because people who have traveled to Africa from the diaspora, they always come back with these beautiful stories. I've had people tell me so many times they don't like you. That is not true. And here we are sitting together. When I first was going to be installed as a queen mother, they were like, they just want your money. And I would like to say that I remember, and not everyone thinks like that, so I don't like to generalize, but I had to reflect on something like in 2015. I realized that my community, the Royals and my family, did not charge me one dime to be installed as a queen mother. And I know now that that's not the norm, that you have to, if you're installed or enthroned in a position, you have to pay for the venue, your outfit to feed everybody. Yeah, it's a lot. And it gets very costly. And my king, when I asked him to come to African Focus this year, excuse me for pointing at you. When I asked him to come to African Focus this year, he did not hesitate. He paid his own airfare to come to our community here in Los Angeles and be a part of something so significant because he knows how important it is. And also, I think some of it is stemmed, and please, people don't get angry with me for saying this, but I have to say it. I think some of this is extended from self-hatred. We have been taught to hate our skin, hate our hair, hate our features. And if we cannot love ourselves, you know, like Malcolm said, if you hate the fruit, you hate the tree. So if we cannot love ourselves, how are we supposed to love someone that looks like us? It's really deep. What has been done to us everywhere is really deep. So we need to start the healing process of unifying and seeing that we are more alike than we are not alike.
That's right.
That's right.
And I have one example I just want to say.
Yeah.
How we're alike. We have brought a lot of our culture with us, but we just think it's just African American culture. But perfect example, when I was going to get married, an elderly sister, I love this sister from One Africa.
Amakus, yes.
She said, "Do you want to jump the broom?" And I said to myself, well, why would I want to jump the broom? I wanted my wedding to be African. And I felt like that we were forced into jumping the broom because we couldn't get married legitimately. So, and I see the broom behind you, Brother Muhammad. So she told me, well, think about it.
Right.
Told me, think about it. And so I said, okay, I'll think about it. So what I did is I researched jumping the broom. And do you know that I found out that it started in Ghana?
Wow.
But the Ghanaians aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
But we kept it alive.
Yeah.
And I can go on with stories like that. And that's why when we come together, it's like connecting a puzzle.
That's
Some of us kept things alive here, some things
right.
kept things alive here. And then when we bring it together, we bring our culture together and our history.
Yeah.
So that's important. And we heal ourselves that way.
Yeah.
I may I ask you a question? Nana, why is it that it's not practiced in the culture anymore or as much anymore?
I have no idea. All I know, that's what have you ever heard of it? Because you did.
Yeah.
Is it still practiced in some places?
Yeah, some cultures do that.
So now, there you have it. Because I was told that it wasn't still practiced, but you see there how it's coming together.
That's right.
And so what it means is that you're leaving the past as two individuals behind and jumping and starting a new future. Some people would say, "Ooh, it may be something to." No, it's a beautiful thing.
Right.
Wow.
It's a beautiful thing. So I have our broom. I'm getting chilled. I have our broom that I made myself. I decorated it. It's on my wall.
That's right. Wonderful. Yeah, I wanted to just ask that because sometimes it could be as the generational thing, like more and more away from the narrative or the storytelling and the generational passing down, right, traditions. I thought about that. Also, maybe it's still practiced in more of the tribal villages or tribal areas, because when I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying that, yeah, in the rural areas.
Rural areas. Yeah. I just was curious about that.
Yeah.
Brought it up.
Yeah. So, Brother Brian, do you have another question? And I'll ask one after you.
Yeah, no, these are important points. And, because again, these are the dynamics that we face in bringing the family back together, because there are things that we know, that and things that have gotten lost, and I mean even up in up in Cape Coast around the what they may call, people around there may call the slave castles. I refuse to call it anything like a castle, because of our experience below in the dungeons. But here's the thing, I grew up in New York City, and I've never been to the what's that thing in the water there, the Statue of Liberty. Never been there. Been to the Empire State Building, but never been up in it, like people go up in it, right? And there are people who live around the slave dungeons who did not know what took place, or it was not, that knowledge was not widely passed down to people. So I'm saying that to say that the work that you all are doing, it should be commended, it should be supported, it should be highlighted, because what you are doing is the work that is necessary to help the healing take place, that when we come back together for real, we will be back together from a healthy space, not from the violation that took place in the in terms of what happened in our history. So they should be commended, Sister Charlene.
Oh, absolutely. Brother Brian, sounds like a final call article pitch to the managing editor to me. You gonna handle that?
Hey, we need to do something.
All right, Brother Brian, have at it. Yeah. No, I've known about this for some time. And when Queen Nana began, I met her through her activism and my early journalism work. And she was one of those who took me under her wing here in the Los Angeles community. And I learned the streets, if you will, or pumps on the ground is what I like to kind of label it, just in terms of moving in the trenches and with our people and what's important to our people. And so thank you, Queen Nana, because at the time she was doing a lot of study groups, a lot of just information sessions. And yes, my beat early on was police brutality. It hasn't changed because that hasn't changed, but there's just so much. Maybe we can just, rehash that another time, Queen Nana, because I want to make sure to give you all the rest of the show hour for African focus and your work here and what you want to present. By the way, we're going to be coming into our second hour with what is called the Liberated Sisters Justice Report, which focuses on our cry for justice as a people. And so in this week, we'll be highlighting the current issue of the Final Call newspaper, written by the cover story is written by sister contributing writer Anissa Muhammad, a young, beautiful, brilliant, bold, intelligent writer who just gives the narrative so well. And she highlighted what is called the Goon Squad, which is officers in Mississippi who have done some very atrocious things. So it's finalcall.com if you want to get a sneak peek at what we're going to be coming in with in our second segment. And Dr. Ridgely Mumin Muhammad of the Nation of Islam Research Group and Muhammad Farms Director, as well as Nation of Islam Student Minister of Agriculture. He will be with us to talk about why we have a call and why the need for separation. Why should Blacks consider separation? So that's coming up very shortly after this. But Brother Brian King, Profile II, Queen Nana, take it away.
Wow.
I want them to really express themselves for the rest of the show, Brother Brian. Thank you.
But you mentioned Dr. Ridgely and the agriculture piece. King, can you talk to our viewers and our listeners about the role of the chieftaincy as opposed to the role of government? Because I know, we have presidents, we have, prime ministers, but the chieftaincy, and then when it comes to land, and then perhaps after that we can segue to talk about dual citizenship and things of that nature. But can you talk to us about the role of the chieftaincy?
Okay, thank you. The role of a chieftaincy or a chief or a king in Ghana, one, it is a development. It is an institution. Let me first define what is a chief to you first. When they say a chief, they say who is a chief or who is a queen mother or a queen. We define this as somebody who come from the royal lineage and have been duly selected, nominated, and he or she have passed through the custom pertaining to the culture of the land and have duly swear the oaths of allegiance to his people, that whenever they call him in any way of life, apart from ailment and apart from death, he will rise and answer them. So that's the definition of a chief. Then our role is to protect, govern, and make sure the laws binding the community are at peace, and make sure education to the both, especially the girl child and the male child, are highly esteemed. You should make sure that in your community there is a much growing peace, harmony, and development. It is the president and each cabinet, their one is in a code administration purposes, like the way they run it in every nation. And that is that. But we are the allodia and the custodian owners of the land.
Mm.
The gold, the manganese, the bauxite, the timber, the agriculture. If the administration purpose, that is the president, or any governor wanted to implement something on our land in Ghana, he have to seek from the chiefs, because we are the possession of our property, and you are going to take it. So there should be a mutual understanding between the community led by the chief and then the Kumera before you can have a land or something for you to develop. So you can sign an agreement with the government on a certain position. For instance, if you heard of the you want to do an agriculture in Ghana, where are you going to plant your product, or your plant on the air? You're going to plant it on the surface of the earth. And you have to come to the chiefs. You have to come to the family. Whenever they grant you the permission to do sign paper agreement with them, then you ask you to go to the government for you to get an accreditation, a business license. So you pay your tax into the government covers for the running of the general affairs of the country, and then there is an homage that you have to pay to the royal house or the family you grab the land from. So this is so the government can never stood up and said, "This is your land, I'm going to take it." By the way that America land are being owned by the state. No, this one owned by we the state. So that is the difference. Yeah,
I see. Thank you for that. Because that's probably one of the most common questions that people give, to those of us that have some.
So let me add this, please.
Yes, sir.
So you see that it's something that is why I said we need to connect one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah, the Africans have been, all over in the diaspora. You have acquired, you have acquired knowledge. We want the knowledge that you have acquired to bring it back home, so that we blend the two together. Now is a police officer. When it comes into something connection with the idea of the peacemaking or something, let Nana show us the idea, and with his idea that we put it together, and then we move forward. Somebody is a medical doctor, somebody is an educationist. Let's put that thing, the good thing that you have learned, let's blend them together. So we'll build the Africa, the 54 nation, we put them together and we'll go forward. That is all my mind. Yeah.
That's positive. That's
You
very good.
They came and learned this administration from we the kings. When we come to the palace, we have so many sessions where the minister of the finance, we have it in our, we call it we have the minister of finance in our team. She being the queen mother in charge of the administration, she is like the senior minister, or she is the sole advisor to the king. So we have all this set up before the administration by the government also take. We have all these things in our palace. So all our subjects, they have a position like the way we have it. So it's just a matter of just they have changed the name into the English word or in a Greek word for the governor. But we have the same governance system in every community. That's how the whole thing went on.
I see.
Wow. I have a quick question. Before we hear from you about, thank you, King. Before we hear about Mansa Musa Tourist, Sister Queen Mother Nana, would you tell us who were some of the inductees in addition to Jan Robinson Flint at the Goodwill Awards?
Oh, I don't know.
Long list.
I wasn't. Well, you know what? I'll tell you the most famous one. I can tell you that.
I just wanted to say Jan's name, honestly.
Oh, yeah, Jan was there. I saw her. We saw each other. We hadn't seen each other in years.
Yeah.
And we also inducted brother Keith David, the actor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we had Glenn Thurman there, who received
Wow.
the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
I would also like to talk about my king again.
Yes.
Because he's going to be speaking on the 24th at Cal State Los Angeles and Cal State Dominguez Hills. So he'll be at Cal State Dominguez Hills from 10 to 12, and he'll be at Cal State Los Angeles from 4:30 to 12. And he'll be discussing the same thing we were talking about today, but he's going to go more in depth with it. He's going to be talking about African unity, Akan history, Akan culture, Akan traditional systems. So we hope, and pray that you come down and join us. Bring your energy with you so we can connect. And I hope to see you. There's the flyer.
Yes.
And so and I wanted to talk. Let's see how many minutes we got. Couple more minutes. I wanted to talk about Mansa Musa Tours. It's one of the business we've started since I moved back home. And I noticed there was a need because so many of us are going to Ghana. We also incorporate other African countries. Like one of our tours, we took them to Ethiopia as well. So what we do is we don't give just standard tours. We customize every tour for what you're looking for, even those who are trying to relocate to Ghana. And we give you the pros and the cons, what to expect, the good, bad, and the ugly. Okay, that's what we do. And we also organize seminars for those who are looking at, if I move there and I haven't retired, like I'm retired, I'm not a police officer anymore, but if you move there, what can I expect as a form of income? What kind of business can I start? And so we provide you with seminars such as that. And we're just trying to help our brothers and sisters come home. And we're passionate about it. We love it. My husband and I, that's what we like doing. And my chief joins in on us. My king, he joins in with us. And most kings do not do that. I'm telling you, he is an active participant in trying to get us to come home. So visit our website at www.mansamusatours.com. That's mansamusatours.com. You can contact us. You can find more about what's going on at the Cal States on the 24th. And we're here for you. We're here for you, whatever you need.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And before we go, if you could just say a bit about our next segment, and then King Crowfoot II, if you will give your closing remarks, then we'll segue into the Justice Report, highlighting the fight, the struggle against police brutality. And this is a spotlight on Mississippi. And when you hear about what's been done down there from our sister Anissa, who covered this for the final call, you'll be blown away. maybe not shocked, but still it's hard to hear, and it's a reality that's unfortunate. And so, Queen Nana, as a police officer, right, with your skills and what
Former,
have you, former,
former. You
that's
know,
right,
I got the book coming out.
that's right. Speak, and I
I'm gonna
forget
be
that.
brief. I'm gonna be brief, but
Sure.
I just want our listeners to know that the discrimination that you face, many of our police officers, especially a police officer like me, has been discriminated against within the department. In 2001, because of the discrimination I was facing, I changed my hair. I got locks, which was unheard of on the department. Um, I changed my name to Nihanda Nzinga Aliti Sankofa Ra. I, I did that. That's my legal name. But I just wanted to give you some advice. I don't know about other agencies, but what I've seen within the LAPD, and it may be similar, is that if you want to file a complaint against the police department, don't file it within the division that the occurrence happened. Go to IA, because sometimes some of those police officers that you're complaining against, their supervisors are taking the reports. And sometimes they might not do the right thing by you. So with us, it was better to go through, call IA directly. That's internal affairs. Don't go into the division and say, I want to file a complaint against an officer, because their supervisor may be the one taking the report. Now, with these smaller agencies, they work differently. But with the bigger agencies, they may be the same. But everywhere is different. So just remember, and I see our brothers and sisters online. If they get stopped, you can always talk. Just take them to court. If it's a traffic violation, just take them to court, or you can ask to speak to a supervisor. That doesn't always work, but you don't want to get in a combative situation with these police officers, because your life is in their hands. So just ask to speak to a supervisor. If that doesn't work, see them in court. But drive away, and drive away safely. And even though you do the right thing, it doesn't always manifest that way. You can do everything right, and you still may have a problem. But even if I'm stopped, even though I have my retired badge, I've heard of people with retired badges getting disrespected. So just be careful out there. And it's
Queen,
serious.
it
It's
is.
serious.
Queen Mother.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't know if you recall him, but David Cunningham, he is a former LAPD Police Commission president, was
Oh,
stopped and roughed up and filed suit. Oh, yes, David Cunningham.
it happens. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm like, bam, right away. I can because I can fall into that, and even with that, you know,
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember I remember when I was on probation. True story. They
Mm,
arrested a man. I'm just on probation. Deer in the headlights, and he was cuffed to the bench, and he kept saying, "I'm a police officer. I'm undercover. I'm LAPD. I'm undercover." And I didn't know. I said, the man said he's undercover. They didn't say anything. They just left him on the bench. Sure enough, he was LAPD undercover. He was working undercover, and they arrested him. I'll never forget that. And he ended up filing a lawsuit. And it was just terrible. And if I tell you some of the things that happened to me, I'm saving it for the book. I was done terribly on that job, terribly. But I'm glad I was, because I know that sounds saying I'm glad I was abused, but it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to see what's really going on. For years, when I would tell some of my friends or family members what was being done to me, people did not believe me. So these camera phones are the best thing that has ever happened for documenting our story. I'm so happy that we have those now. They are your best friends. And so, yeah, it was a
thank
lot.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. And we get ready to make our way to the next segment. I actually, when we became first, I was interviewing you. You were a source, and then you became a dear sister friend. I would always say, "Wow, she's not like LAPD mentality." So I salute you and others like our sister Cheryl Ford Dorsey. And so, with that, we pray that you have much success with your book. And what we'll do now is, King, if we could have your closing remarks.
Okay. First of all, I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity in your great radio this afternoon. What I am saying that if we need everybody back home, there was a word saying that the door of no return. There was emancipation and the year of return in Ghana 2019. Now this 2019 have opened the door for each and every Africa in diaspora to go back to any chosen Africa country that he feel by spirit, by soul that he want to go. The 54. You are welcome home. But remember, Ghana, where I am from, it is the gateway to Africa. We want everybody to come. And continue to say, divided will fall, united will stand. We need you home. Because of one or two things that you are being here, maybe it comes from the universe. The creator of the universe. You could see when you go to the Elimina Castle in Ghana, you could see the dungeon was down and the top was an Anglican church. So sometimes I ask myself, what kind of God were they worshiping? But at the end of the day, you have seen something. Africa, we need you. Together, we stand. Divided we fall. We need you. Where you belong to, come back to you. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Sister Charlene. You've been so great. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Mr. Farrakhan for all his words of wisdom. We love him.
I love you too. We love you too. And all praise is due to Allah. And Sister Queen Nana, we're getting ready to go into the next segment, and we're going to show information about the beautiful Elijah coin for the restoration and renovation of the sacred home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is being made into a house museum. Owner Sajda Wendy Muhammad has been working very hard. She's owner of the home. And so we support her, and we are here for that. And thank you for, I think you ordered a coin or a pendant. Thank you so much for that. And so we're going to go into that. Yeah. So thank you very much. And we pray you all have a wonderful trip the rest of your stay.
Yeah, anybody wanted to come to Ghana, I'm always there for them.
We're looking you up. King. That's our trust and believe.
That's right.
May God continue to bless you. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Love you too. Go ahead, Brother Brian. I would like for you to, I think it would be remiss if we did not. We will let our guests take leave, though. We know you have a function. Assalamu alaikum. As Brother Brian and I continue on with this segment, Brother Brian, we must lift up our dear beloved brother, President, who has made his transition, Jerry John Rollins. Would you take 4 minutes? And then let's move right on into our segment. We got to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I took you out. No, go ahead, Brother Brian.
Okay.
I wanted to take myself out.
No problem. Yeah. We, the Nation of Islam, we're so much indebted to President Rawlings. Our role in Ghana was never political. Our role was a spiritual work, and our relationship, and I would say more like this, the friendship between the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and President Jerry John Rawlings, again, it wasn't political. It was a genuine friendship of brotherhood. And he showed that by opening the doors to the country for us. And, and the energy that you see now, as Brother talked about, as King talked about the year of return, that was a process that started long before that year. And President Rawlings have to be given credit because he opened the door. and you know, and he allowed us to step in and do our work because he saw something so beneficial for the Ghanaian people, and it was mutual. And so, Sister Charlene, yeah, we cannot talk about Africa, we cannot talk about Ghana, especially as it relates to the Nation of Islam, without talking about our friend and comrade. And may Allah always be pleased with this brother, President Jerry John Rawlings.
Thank you for that. And I actually pulled our final call article on him, When the Strong Man Goes, and
Oh,
it's
yes.
there for the viewers. And so, Brother Brian, that was a great segment. I really
Oh,
enjoyed learning more about Queen Nana, who I've known for a while, but also
yeah.
learning about Chief King Crofa II. So
Mm,
now, as we get ready to make way for our justice report, the Liberated Sisters Justice Report, allow me to highlight the Elijah coin and where we are in terms of the project with the Sajda House. As you all may know, and this is really critical and it's very sacred, the urban historic preservation is on the rise in urban cities throughout America. African Americans around the United States are preserving their history through the development of house museums. Preservationists, business, and real estate developer, our sister, Sajda Wendy
mm,
Muhammad, is one of the vanguards of this new movement. And when I say vanguard, I mean vanguard, because Sister Sajda is not only working for the preservation of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, not because she's the owner of that, not because she desires to see, not only because she desires to see the children, our legacy, his name lifted, and we can forever have that we can walk into and learn about who is this man for all
mm.
the other different various reasons, right? But
Yeah.
she's not
Mm,
just working on his house, that precious home, but she's working to preserve and keep the narrative and keep the legacy of other homes. And so that's why
mm,
we say she is a vanguard of
mm,
this new movement. And it is to use place based education to tell the stories of the everyday lives of our people right here, African Americans, Black people. The song says you can call it what you want to, but at the end of the day, Sister is working very hard. And so
mm.
let's take a peek at what we have here for the Elijah coin. I'll put a link in the chat where if you have not ordered your Elijah coin yet, you may order it. Please spread the word about it. And we are also open to sponsorships, and there's more information there too. Sajdahouse.com, as well as Sister Sajda Wendy Muhammad is very active and gives as much information, beautiful detail on her Instagram page, her YouTube channel. So let's go to these brief announcements, and we'll come back in with Sister Anissa Muhammad and Dr. Ridgely Muhammad.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saluting right here. He's in uniform. You see him in the uniform. This, the guy on the left there, he's from Pakistan. Tuklar Muhammad right beside him. That's just
I believe that's our cue, Brother Brian.
Okay.
Without further ado, let's bring in Sister Anissa Muhammad, contributing writer for the Final Call
Mm.
newspaper, and Dr. Ridgely Mu'min Muhammad of the Nation of Islam Research Group to begin talking about the Goon Squad, the current cover story of the Final Call newspaper. Sister Anissa, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. You look so beautiful.
Oh,
Praise be to him.
You're on too, Dr. Ridgely. Assalamu alaikum. Look at the
Hello,
family.
how you doing, brother? Sister,
how y'all doing?
We're
good.
doing good. And thanks for your patience as we transition to this segment.
Yes.
You know, Sister Anissa, I'm going to tell you, how did you write this story? Because it was difficult to read it. You know,
Yeah.
we'll put the link up. Excuse me, I'm shaking over here. We'll put the link up so that there it is, and I will also share the link so that those who have not seen it can see it and read it and understand what we're talking about. So I guess before I say how did you even write this, because you wrote it, so that's the point. You got it done, but how did you get wind of this? And then
Yes,
tell us in your words what this is, because I'm just jumping ahead of everything. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. So, well, I was initially assigned the story by the managing editor of the Final Call newspaper, Sister Starla Muhammad, and she just basically just sent me a few links and asked me to cover the story and to try to reach out to some of the activists and attorneys and everything that was involved. And so I really just went from there, from first being assigned to the story and contacting, like I said, some of the activists and some of the attorneys that were representing the two men. And basically, I kind of just, through, because I asked the people that I spoke to, I asked them, who else do you have contact with that you recommend that I speak to? And I kind of just found the right people to talk to from there. And, and they began describing, of course, what happened, what's the currently happening, their thoughts on these 6 officers pleading guilty. And so, of course, the actual story, Gangsters and Goons in Blue, is about these 6 white officers who pled guilty to torturing 2 black men in Braxton, Mississippi, which is just outside of Jackson, Mississippi. And basically, the story gets into the graphic details of the torture session. I don't know if you want me to actually go into it and describe it.
Um,
But, man.
I think you can just like basics, and we can let the audience read it, but you don't have to go deep into it because it was rough. But that's what it was, rough. Our
Right.
people are being treated roughly, but just a snippet. You decide which that you want to share about it.
Right.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. So basically, these 2 black men in Braxton, Mississippi, let me get their names correct. Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. They were, staying in a house, and these 6 white officers barged in, no warrant. They beat them while they were handcuffed. They continuously tased them throughout the session. They waterboarded them, sexually assaulted them. And then by the end of the whole thing, one of the officers put his gun into the mouth of one of the men, Michael Jenkins, and shot through his jaw and basically shattered his or lacerated his tongue, shattered his jaw, which he's still suffering from today.
Thank
So
you
that's
very.
the summary.
Yeah,
of-
thank you. And that's bad enough, very bad, but there are also very many more atrocious things that they've done. And so these officers, I understand, have pled guilty or pleaded guilty, but and this case came to light because of another case, actually, right, Sister Anissa?
Right. So many of the officers, the sheriff deputies that were involved in this case, they had previous
Yeah.
a long list of other things that they've done in relation to torturing black men, and just the brutality of it all. And so one of those previous cases was the case of Damien Cameron, and I'm trying to because I don't want to like get the facts wrong.
Yeah.
um, let me see if I can find it. But basically, in the case of Damien Cameron, if I could,
I'll back you up. I'll back you up. I'll
yes,
go and get it, and then you can continue to your thoughts about it. David Cameron.
right. So that was one of the previous cases, but like I said, it's a long line, a long history with some of these sheriff deputies where they would basically beat or shoot black men. And actually, in the past case, he actually died from what happened, and the I believe one of the deputies in that case actually like they didn't get locked up or there was no justice basically. And so this was really like one of the first times that, or at least according to the attorneys, this was one of the first times that officers in Mississippi has actually pled guilty and are going to prison for the brutality against
Right.
black person.
Right. If I could read some of what you wrote, and then of course we have Dr. Richley here who's going to be speaking about this. Your thoughts about it, Dr. Richley, after and pardon me, your opening remarks. We just jump right into YouTube, and then we just keep this conversational. But you're going to talk about why we say have the call for separation in her article again, finalcall.com. And it's a reign of terror in Mississippi. In the section where it's highlighted crooked police squads, these 6 officers, as she said, were part of what is called the Goon Squad. Now, I thought that was just some rough and tough kind of, macho name that they picked.
Right.
This was named after a Grand Wizard, a actually KKK Grand Wizard who tortured, disproportionately locked up, beat, and murdered black people. So it wasn't just like some goons, but this was actually named literally after. And you write that this squad is not a legal police unit. Sister Anissa said that this is a group of officers who get initiated formally. So when our people are on the streets of the country, not just Los Angeles, but when they're out here saying that the sheriff deputies and police departments are the biggest gangs, you have the proof right here of the real true gangsters. And so false confessions, they kick the door in, they find no drugs, they beat you, torture you, sexually assault you until you tell them whatever they want. This is one of your sources in the article. And I was trying to get quickly to what you were saying about the previous cases, because I remember that as well. But go ahead, Sister Anissa.
Right. So one of the other parts that I forgot to mention, and you kind of sparked it, is they also, after they underwent this almost 2 hour torture session, they also
Wow.
planted a gun and drugs on these 2 black men to pretend that they were the ones committing the crime. And
Right.
so, in one of the quotes, they talked about how Michael Jenkins, the one that was shot in his mouth, he woke up in handcuffs to the Rankin County sheriff, to the same sheriff's office that just beat and tortured him. Like he was in handcuffs when he woke up because they tried to drop charges on these 2 black men for, drug and assault or whatever crimes that they didn't actually commit or do.
That's
That
right.
was the other part of the story too.
That's right. And you have here that Black Lawyers for Justice, Mississippi Advocates for Justice, and the Jenkins and Parker families will be advocating. There's a sentencing in November at the U.S. District Court, right? And they're pressing for maximum charges. Goon Squad. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pressing for maximum sentencing.
That's right. That's right. They're seeking $400 million in damages. In June, Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Parker filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey and all known members of the Goon Squad. You know, this is, I would say it's unfathomable, but it's really not. Unfortunately, when I saw I kind of did like this, you all, because
Mhm.
I, I, I literally saw Tyree Nichols. I said, is this, what's happening here? And it just gave that image, our black men and our people. We know it's not just our black men, but we're seeing our black men in these hospital beds in this way. So,
Right.
Sister Anissa, your remarks in terms of something else that has stood out to you that you would like to share that maybe you decided not to use because you, as we normally have, so much information, right? And then Dr. Ridgely, your opening remarks and your thoughts about this case. Mm,
Right. I can't really think of anything in particular that I didn't use. Of course, for the actual torture session, I tried to sort
mhm.
of abbreviate what happened. If you go to,
Yeah,
I know like a few other news sources, they go a little bit more into detail, or some of the things that I necessarily didn't get into that happened as well, or some
your
of
story traumatized me,
the
ma'am.
minute details of it. So I did try to at least abbreviate it somewhat, according to
Yeah,
what
yeah.
attorney Malik Shabazz was telling me. But I think also because you brought up Tyree Nichols, and
Mm,
of course, he was also the victim of an aggressive police squad, even though it was black officers in that case, but they were a part of this aggressive police unit that was started up uh, by someone that was the head of another aggressive police unit in Atlanta, the Red Dog unit. And so it just speaks to just the overall system, whether it's black or white, just, the overall system of police brutality and policing against black people in America.
yeah, right. Thank you for that. And I put that link to the article. It's at finalcall.com, and the link is in the chat. So, and Brother Brian, please jump in.
And
I know you're like intrigued too. This is our current cover story of the Final Call newspaper, and we thank the
shock.
Final Call contributing writer for being here to talk about the great work that you've done in terms of bringing our people's pain and issues and fight for justice to light, Sister Anissa. You're excellent, excellent journalist, and we are so
Praise
honored that you're with us.
Right.
Right?
praise
Yeah,
be to the Lord. I do want to edit that. It's not the current cover because we just had a new cover come
Last
out
week.
under
Much,
Montgomery Crawl. But
much
right.
better cover for next
That's
week. Much better.
that's right. Thank you. No, I understand. That's right. But the one that's on the streets, I should say, the ones that's on the streets right now, that's moving. Um, Brother Dr. Risley, your opening remarks, and thank you, Dr. Risley, for always making time for Liberated Sisters, and we appreciate you. But your thoughts about this, and I'm going to jump out, everyone, and do some of the back issue things that we need to do. Brother Brian, you take it away, okay?
Got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And assalamu alaikum, Sister Nisa. Um,
Shalom.
this is not policing. This is terrorism. This is continual terrorism of our community to keep us in the corral. Okay, this is war, but I think about the next final call because I've seen the front page, and it's talking about Montgomery and the brawl, which I call it the new civil rights movement. 8/5/23 was the beginning of the new civil rights movement. And it's going to kind of go like this. You hit me, I knock the crap out of you. And now I can negotiate with you. You don't like me, I don't like you. So what are we going to do? Separate from you. So all of this, there's only one solution. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said is the best and only solution for this problem. We must get away. And we can't allow some quote unquote good, nice white people to get us to stay. You know, all white people are bad. I don't need but one bullet to my head. Okay? And since I don't know which white person is going to pull that bullet, shoot that bullet to my head like they shot this brother in the mouth, are you kidding me? No. We must separate. And our problem is like a woman who's been abused by a husband. And what he does, he always makes her think that she can't make it on her own. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to make it without me. Nobody wants you. Well, black man and woman of America, God, Master Farad Muhammad, he wants you. And we have a plane now to protect you. So we ain't talking about no 1921 Tulsa again, okay? We're talking about going for self. And the best thing that we can do is learn some skills so that we can produce some products and some services for each other and begin a whole new economy. Because you see, the Jews, their God is money and their religion is economics. So we need to get into a little bit of that religion, economics, and do for self like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to do and prepare ourselves. Right now, we don't know how to do nothing. We did everything at one time. But now they put us in a position that we don't know how to do nothing, and therefore we feel like that wife who's been battered and beaten, but she got 5 children and she don't have no way to make a living for herself, so she stayed there and continued that abuse. Now take you and your children and get the hell out of there. But this is our wake-up call, man. I'm tired of seeing the pictures of our people being beat up, killed. I'm just, it just drives me crazy. If it was not for my opportunity, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave me to come down here to Brownwood to run the 1,600-acre farm the same year that we did the Million Man March. He gave me the opportunity so every day I can do my revolutionary skipping down the street, okay, on the tractor, okay, to fight back. This is how I can fight back. So I'm not supposed to kill people. So what I do is I fight weeds, and I fight bugs, and I fight deer who trying to eat my crop. You know what I mean? So this is how I fight, and each of us has to find a place in this army. What are you going to do? Are you going to sing? Are you going to dance? Are you going to play a flute? Are you going to make some soap? Are you going to make a dress? Are you going to build houses? You going to drive the train? Go drive the truck? What are you going to do? Minister Ava said that what each Master Study Group in the Southern region should do is develop a product, and then you sell your product to your neighboring Master Study Group, and you start trading commerce. And we build a nation within a nation right here. This is what we do in the Staple Goods Project. It's coming up September 17th again. 11 of the products in that group is produced by Muslims in the Nation of Islam. So we are beginning that process of developing an independent economic system, doing trade and commerce with one another, so that we cannot sit here and take this whooping all the time. But I thank my brothers in Montgomery, skipping down the dock and whooping that knock. That was beautiful. That's the way we're supposed to be. But see, they don't even like us seeing stuff like that because they want to make us think we're just a victim. Many times we have fought back, and when we win, you don't hear about that. Remember in New York in 1972? They rolled up in the mosque in the temple in 1972, and they got whooped, beat down. Right. One was killed. Right. Then the police came with reinforcements, and then Harlem came out. All of Harlem came out. All of Harlem came out to defend the temple, to defend the minister and the children. And Mr. Farrakhan had to go out there and tell them, don't kill these white folks. Now I tell you what, police, get out of here by midnight. And you get out of here at midnight, we'll let you out. Okay, so. And so they let them out. So we have instances where we do fight back and we do win. The Nation of Islam, we do not believe in being the aggressor. That's why I say the new civil rights movement. You hit me, I'm not gonna hit you first. You can call me nigga and all that. I'm not gonna hit you first.
Mhm.
But if you touch me, I'm gonna knock the crap out of you. And then we gonna sit down and we can negotiate too. What we gonna do? I know. I'm gonna separate from you. That's what I'm doing.
Walaikum salam. That's called we fight with those who fight with us.
With us.
And since you mentioned our dear, beautiful sister minister Ava Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with her, our A Star of God. We have a short clip from her where she's talking about separation, and let's see if we can get that clip played. When it's ready, we'll go right to the clip. We'll just break in whoever's talking. We're going to go right to that clip when we have it ready, okay? Because you mentioned her, and I said perfect timing. And so, Brother Brian,
Yes.
your thoughts.
Yeah,
as I
but
get
I
the
mean,
clip.
Dr. Wrigley is so correct, because these things happen over and over and over again, and it don't stop. And it won't stop. It will get worse, because we do have a responsibility that we are not fulfilling. I mean, I'm glad that you raised what you're doing on the farm, because you're raising solutions that you are working. You know what I'm saying? It's not some general, this is what we need to do. Well, this is what I'm doing. Now you got to find your space. And this is what we have to do. Because again, this is not going to end. White folks are so angry today. I mean, angry because they know the future that we have and the future that they will not have.
That's correct.
I mean, just think about the numbers. By 2045, they will be the minority in the United States.
That's right.
And it's the same figures in Europe.
That's right.
Now it's already the same figure worldwide, as we're taught. We are here 11 to 1.
That's
11
right.
of us to 1 of them.
That's
you know,
right.
but we have a responsibility that we have to fulfill. And the realization of that Allah is really with you if you just make a move. So I like that question. And I'm going to do my best personally, Dr. Ridgely, Sister Anissa, to answer it. What are you going to do? As I'm looking in the mirror, what are you going to do? Because we cannot continue to go on like this. And, so for all of our people, I mean, that article was very upsetting. I'm not going to lie, sister. I had to read it in segments. It was so graphic, but no, separation is the only way out.
That's
the
right.
only way out, and it's not going to take a big mass. I don't know what people's fantasy is about separation. You know what I'm saying? I live in a what do you call these subdivision communities where they got certain rules. You know what I mean? I got to park my car in the garage. Certainly I can't just drive up on my grass, right? I can't park on the curb. But people say, well, that's a little way out, but that's what separation does. You make the rules. What is your comfort level?
Right.
And certainly my comfort level is not getting killed by white folk or anybody else.
As Minister Ava said, who called you? Who called you to our community? Brother Michael has the clip ready. It's a brief clip from her speaking about separation. Let's take a listen and a look. It's coming, I promise. And then while we wait for that to come, shortly after, we'll also, God willing, have a clip from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But in the meantime, continue. Let's continue.
Well,
and I may share my screen so that we can keep moving. But go ahead, Dr. Ridgely.
No, we had fought back many times after slavery, and a lot of times we won. And many of the the Western movies, some of those people were actually black people. That was the sheriffs. I know one incident that happened in Oklahoma, Oklahoma, where the bank robbers came to a black-owned bank, and they killed one of the bank tellers, but brother came out from the back with a shotgun and blew a couple away, and then they ran out into the street, and the black people in the community, they heard the bell, they came out to the street and shot the rest of them down. Now, they don't show you all that in the movies because they want you to think that we're just the sheep who sit and watch the wolves eat us. But no, that was not how it happened. That was bloodshed and bloodshed. As a matter of fact, I remember sister was talking about her mother. Shirley Sherrod was talking about her mother down in Georgia, and her mother said, "Yeah, I shot it." And Shirley Sherrod, because they're on TV, no, you shot at him, but you didn't hit it. No, I hit it. Ha! Ha! No, I hit it. Ha! So it wasn't just going one way. And now that so we talk to all the people up north, y'all still scared to come back down here. It ain't like it used to be. All right, we got a black sheriff down here in Carroll County, and I'm gonna run for head of the county commissions again in 2024, like I did in 2020, just to mess with them and to show black folks, look, if I'm out here in the woods by myself and I'm still going to run against your master, and I ain't scared. So what you scared of? Okay, what you scared of? So again, come on back down home. We got Mr. Farrakhan said we got to take over the South one county at a time, county by county. We're going to take over politically and then grow it economically to make a home for you. Now, just like in Israel, all the Jews don't live in Israel. A lot of them still live in New York. Matter of fact, most of them live in New York because they're making that money, send it back home. So you ain't got to come down here, down south necessarily. You can stay where you at, but send some money down here. Buy the products from down here. Let's support. Let's build up Wakanda, because this is what used to be Wakanda down here. Not in that damn movie. We had it all across America. We had 50 towns in Oklahoma alone.
Come on, right? Teach.
And Black Wall Street, we rebuilt Black Wall Street in 1926. They destroyed it in 1921. We rebuilt it in 1926, and it was bigger and better than the first one. But the way they got us in 1971, they came in with two highways right through Greenwood, this one, and they did this in 90 other cities in America. 90 other cities in America, they did this, go right through the black neighborhoods and destroy businesses because they saw the Honorable Elijah Muhammad coming to unite those segregated communities and to operationalize into a separate nation within the nation of America. So that's why they came with integration. That's why they came with urban removal. They call it urban renewal. They came with all these to destroy those economic centers and to get us away from ourselves. They set the malls on the outside and they grow the highways right through our communities, go out to the malls so we can spend our money at an integrated malls. Okay? Because we were growing too fast amongst our own selves. Okay, so you said we can't come and shop with you? Fine. We'll shop with ourselves. We can't buy your fine garments and the tall hammers. No, we'll go window shop. We'll window shop, see what y'all got for this season, and then we go back home with our little sewing machine, and we be ready for prom. We be ready for weddings. We be ready for funerals. And then the people saw that, they said, wait a minute, what them niggas doing? What them niggas doing? We're going to have to stop this. We're going to have to open up these stores and get them to come in because they're not buying from us. They're doing for themselves. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is back again. This time, through Mr. Farrakhan, we're not going to back up. We're not going to be tricked. We're not going to be bamboozled. We're not going to be fooled again into thinking just because there's some good white folks somewhere. And we got to stay and be the victims of their bad cousins. We're going to separate. We're going to do for ourselves. We're going to love each other. Because remember, our communities was not like this. I'm an old man. I'm 72 years old. I remember when we didn't lock our doors.
Yeah.
Not in the projects. Wow. We didn't lock our doors. Okay, it wasn't until they brought drugs in our community and guns in our community and prostitution in our community. They brought this in. The government brought this in our community. And when the dope busters showed that we can wipe that out of the community, then they got rid of the dope busters. The government ADL went down there to the Congress and said, look, you can't, they're anti-Semitic. You can't give them this money. But they saving lives where niggas don't count. We the one, we the Jews, we count. We God's chosen people. So we're not angry with the Jews. You know, we just want to get the hell off our neck. All right. You know, I tell you something. That fight in Montgomery, what people say, because they saw all of it. They saw who threw the first punch.
Yeah.
Right.
But does Black America know who threw the first punch in this Jew-Farrakhan fight? Do you know who threw the first punch? It was not Minister Farrakhan. It was them. Who do you want? Farrakhan. All you want is dead. This is 1985.
That's right.
They're the ones who started this fight. Just because we defended our brother
Jesse
Jackson.
And what did Jesse Jackson do? He just said, Town. He said, Town. And then the Jews said, we're going to ruin Jesse, and we're going to kill him. And so Farrakhan came to his defense. And then they called him the Black Hitler. That's because he came to the defense of his brother because he used the word Town. What are you talking about? Look what they did to the two brothers in Mississippi. What do you call that? Yeah. And look what they did to that brother of a doc. They call that it's not that's not a hate crime. SPLC, hey, listen, hey, SPLC, you in Montgomery, that's your headquarters. I don't go out there and find out about whether that was a hate crime or not. SPLC, you in Montgomery, why don't you go out there to the doctor and determine whether that was a hate crime or not? It's a hate crime, and you turning your back. You turning your back. Hate crime. To us, it's not hate. If we speak ill of you, it's hate. Because when we speak the truth of you that you don't like, you call that hate. Go in there to that doc. Look at that film and tell me that was not hate crime. That was a hate crime. 6 white folks go to jail based on a hate crime.
Yeah, it was all day. Dr. Rizzi, thank you. We have the clip ready, short clip of Minister Ava speaking about separation. And if we could, we'll have some more commentary. And then, Brother Michael, if you could, let's go shortly after that into the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan mentioning the jump out boys, a caution, a warning to them. But here's Minister Ava.
Messenger, Messiah, and our midst are demanding a separate state or territory of our own, and we will have it. And 4.5 centuries later, would think that we have not exhausted every path to trying to live peacefully. We have fought in their wars. We have nursed their babies. We taught them culture. They wouldn't have any if it weren't for us. Right. We laid out their cities like Washington, D.C. We built the White House.
That's right.
We have done any and everything humanly and superhumanly possible. And yet they detest us. And so we're no longer going to try to persuade people. There are Black people who have had enough of this and are building communities, and those communities will grow to become cities, and we are going to go into various states. Point number 4 of what the Muslims want in the Muslim program, it will be fulfilled because God's man, his messenger Messiah, who has grown to Mahdi, and now his messenger Messiah in our midst are demanding a separate state or territory of our own, and we will have it. And 4.5 centuries later, only a fool would think that we have not exhausted every path to trying to live peacefully. We have fought in their wars. We have nursed their babies. We taught them culture. They wouldn't have any if it weren't for us. We laid out their cities like Washington, D.C. We built the White House. We have done any and everything humanly and superhumanly possible. And yet they detest us. And so we're no longer going to try to persuade people. There are Black people who have had enough of this and are building communities, and those communities will grow to become cities, and we are going to go into various states. Point number 4 of what the Muslims want in the Muslim program, it will be fulfilled.
That's right.
It will. I think it is being fulfilled as we speak. You know, I just put in a link into the chat. One of the articles Minister Ava spoke in Los Angeles at Mosque number 27 on her separation tour. It was the case for separation, discussion of it being the best and only solution. Um, let's any remarks on her remarks before we continue asking Sister Anissa some of the questions about your article? Because Mississippi, you know, when you put a reign of terror in Mississippi, we thought about, I mean, there's Rasheen Carter, and there's a list of cases of, I'm calling it, saying cases, but these are people, these are sons, you know, these are husbands, uncles, brothers. I don't want my mind to just relegate them to cases because there are so many cases. We can't become, I think it's easy. It's not okay, but it's easy to become conditioned. We just become conditioned. So even as a writer myself, thinking about cases, no, but this individual brother, both of them, Rashim, all of them that you mentioned in your article deserve highlight and attention. But of course, we have the collective. But go ahead, Sister Anissa. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by this article and this issue because it's not just this one. See, this is the one that our sister laid out for us and we know about. There are so many more that we don't know about. And these back roads of Mississippi, Louisiana, where I'm from, Los Angeles, in a back alley. Let's not, you know, forget about the big city goon squads. But go ahead, sister, take it.
Right. Yes, ma'am. And it was quoted in the article too that, you know, because one of the questions I asked was, you know, do you know how many others were victims of this goon squad? And the answer was, you know, we don't really know, but there could be, you know, countless others. There could be black men in jail because, like, countless black men in jail in Mississippi because of these sort of goon squads that's, you know, planting drugs, guns for crimes that, you know, these men didn't actually commit. And then some of those other cases just in Mississippi alone, just in recent years, let me see. So the disappearance of, like you mentioned, Sister Charlene, 25-year-old Rasheen Carter in October 2022, and then his remains were discovered. The killing of 15-year-old Jaheim McMillan, also in October 2022. The killing of 11-year-old Adarian Murray by an Indianola, Mississippi officer in May of this year, 2023. The killing of 15-year-old Cornelius McGee Jr., also May of this year. And then it was also mentioned the deaths of mother and son Debbie Loggins and Robert Loggins, and they both died in police custody 13 years apart. So that's
Wow.
just in Mississippi alone, just in recent years, or, you know, this year and last year, where, you know, all of these black men and boys have gone missing, found dead, or directly died by police officers in Mississippi.
Oh, okay, Sister
Okay,
Anissa.
let's
Now, see, let me just mention this, Dr. Rich, and I'm gonna get on up out of here and let you take the floor. See, in Los Angeles today, Black Lives Matter grassroots held a press conference this morning. LAPD this year alone has been, there's been officer involved deaths. Black Lives Matter has said they have the press conference this morning because LAPD, Black Lives Matter, says has killed over a dozen people. I think the number's 14, but I don't want to get that wrong. Over a dozen people this year alone, and they're calling for action. So that should be on the Black Lives Matter Instagram page. But go ahead, Dr. Rizzi. See, this is just too
Well,
serious.
you know, the deaths are bad. Remember, they planted drugs and guns on this brother. There are many of our people who are in jail because of them planting guns and drugs on them. You destroyed the whole family when you did that. You destroyed our community when you do that. This is why we have a negative aspect towards each other, because you have made us out to look like criminals when they are and we are not criminals. You are the criminal, and then you make us look like criminals so that we cannot get our unity thing together. So your killing somebody is bad, but you're destroying their credibility. You're destroying their civility. You're destroying the love in the community. You're destroying a whole community by what you are doing. And like I told, I'm not good to be on these type of programs. I'm gonna say something that get me in trouble. But I am on the farm. I'm in a safe place.
Dr. Ridgely, Sister Anissa, Brother Brian, we're gonna wrap in about 5 minutes now, 4 minutes. I want to really let us hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Sister Anissa, would you come back to have a dialogue with us again as well with Brother William Muhammad of the Final Call newspaper? He's writing about, he's been on the case of Rasheem Carter. And Dr. Ridgely, of course, would you rejoin us for your analysis? And Brother Brian, I think we need to keep you, but we're going to talk about it, me and you. Let's play the minister. Right. Let's play the minister real quick, brother. Thank you.
His father was a liar, so they're born with lie and murder in their nature.
That's right.
How do they lie so easily?
Come on.
If you could read the record, the police records of what they say in their reports that they write, they have brothers and sisters. Why are the police quitting now? You should all quit. Because if your presence there thinks that you're going to come into the black community and do what you've been doing, you better quit.
That's right.
The jump out boys better stay in the white community. Don't come where we live and jump out. Real talk now.
That's right.
That's right.
We can't take it no more.
That's right.
We won't take it anymore.
Thank you for that, Brother Michael. You know, I just wanted us to have a word from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as we close out so that we can stay in the light, you know. And also, I nurse. Thank you, Brother Demetric Muhammad, Student Minister Demetric of the NOI Research Group. I know it's kind of getting lost in the pixels here, but when you get into trouble, nurse from your Holy Quran. My Quran's right there. I'm holding these books because right now I'm really upset about it. But Sister Anissa, your closing remarks, then Dr. Ridgely and Brother Brian, and we're going to go ahead on out. If we can get out, each person take 1 minute. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll really just close on the words from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Further, you know, just saying the need for us to separate because, you know, these people don't have our best interests at heart, as the minister has told us for decades. So actually, this is in the current edition on, you know, an article I wrote on the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. I quoted from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Message to the Black Man in America. And he says, quote, "We have a world of Muslims under Allah and his religion, Islam. The white people do not teach you this because it points the way to your freedom and equality. It is a shame that our people are beaten and killed because of their ignorance and wanting to be white people, while there are billions of people on the face of this earth who look like them, but only 400 million white people on our planet Earth. Our population runs into billions, and the Earth belongs to us. We are the original owners of the Earth and will take it and rule it again. This is the time. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh,
Thank you.
walaikum salam. We should say ditto. We should say we second that motion. We should say yeah. But go ahead, Dr. Ridgely.
I
should
second
ask you
that.
last. Yeah.
I second that motion. I have nothing else to say. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad have the last word.
That's right. I think we should leave it there.
Absolutely, exactly.
That's right. Thank you, Sister Anissa. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Please share the replay of this. Thank you so much to Closing the Gap Network, Student Minister James Muhammad, Sister Starla Muhammad, Student Minister Chad Muhammad. Thank you all, the Anchor Show, and everyone who helps to make Closing the Gap Network possible. Thank you to Brother Michael, our producer for today, Michael Muhammad, and all of you giving your time for us today. And finalcall.com to subscribe. All of these stories, you can get the digital edition. And Sister Nisa, you keep on pressing on. We thank Allah for you, Sister. Dr. Ridgely as well, Brother Brian. That's our time for today. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad saying, if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's talk about it. Peace.
Assalamu
alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I think
everybody join in this melody. That's the only way we're gonna be free. Everybody singing this sweet refrain. Sing this melody till it gets in your brain. Well, I'm talking to you, Muslim, Christian, and the Hebrew. Anything to do, we got to unite or else we are through. Everybody singing this sweet refrain. Sing this melody till it gets in your brain. Everybody singing this melody. That's the only way we're gonna be free. They're united in Ghana, Mali and Nigeria. All over Africa, the people are getting together. They're even uniting in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Angola. And Nkrumah's vision will light the world over from Cape to Cairo, one Africa. Everybody singing this sweet refrain. Sing this melody till it gets in your brain. Come on, do it tonight. Brothers and sisters, let us unite. and Grenada. Sing it with Rico and Jamaica. Let us unite in America. The yellow man moving in Asia. The red man awakening in India. The black man rising up in Africa. Let us jump up in America.